Hi, this is Michelle at Counseling and Recovery, and today I'm going to give you some tips on letting go. First, I'm going to clarify the process because it makes it a lot easier once you know what to expect. And then I'm going to give you some actionable tips. But first, a little bit about me. I'm a psychotherapist in San Jose, California, and I help people build their relationships with lots of skills like codependency, anger, self-care, boundaries, lots of that stuff. For letting go, it's actually a process of releasing someone or something precious to you because they're either no longer working for you or they've been taken away. So often this is in regards to a relationship. It can happen when there's a death or a loss of a job or a home, something that's really precious. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a person, though some of these examples are going to fit more for that. So letting go really isn't a linear process. It's really something that you're going to bounce around back and forth. Denial usually is the first stage, and that's when you're in the shock of, oh my gosh, I have to let this go. The bargaining is when you're trying not to let go. So you're saying to yourself, I'm gonna get around this somehow. I'm gonna try my hardest. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna get some resources, because letting go is really painful and most people don't voluntarily do it. Also, there's gonna be areas where you're feeling sad. You might be struggling with anger. All of those are stages that are really common in letting go. But what happens is you're bouncing around a lot until you finally get to the acceptance. And sometimes it's really long for people and they get frustrated. The other thing that I want you to start doing, this is your first task, is start separating your energy from theirs. Because when we have trouble letting go, we're worrying about the person, we're missing them, we're thinking about them a lot. It almost takes on an obsessive quality because we don't want to let go. So instead, what I want you to do is just imagine in your mind that you're letting that person be outside of your energy. So if you're home, imagine that they're outside of your home, or they're at the end of the block, or in a different city. But really, it's a practice of you starting to create distance from that person, place, or thing that you're having trouble letting go of. And this can be something you can start with right now. You can literally just sit down and practice getting centered and having that person's energy be further away from you. Because this is a practice of also starting to get centered again. Because if this is a really big relationship, like a spouse, a child, or even a job that's been huge for you, you may have to redefine yourself a little bit, which is why letting go can be difficult, because it's become part of your identity. So part of the separation is about you getting back to your center. Now the next step is let yourself feel the grief. And this is where most people get stuck. They come to me and they say, you know, Michelle, I've been grieving and I'm tired of it. I'm done. And they get frustrated. And what I'm going to say is, you know, grief takes as long as it takes. And sometimes it takes several months or even years, depending on the quality of the loss. If this is a spouse or a primary relationship, it may take a while. But know that if you're letting yourself feel all the feelings, the rage, the sadness, the regret, all of that, you're going to come out the other side. But if you stop it, say with substances like food and alcohol, pot, pills, all that stuff, that just numbs the pain, and it does help you feel better momentarily, but then you're just delaying the grief because the substances are going to delay the healing. What makes letting go so painful is, of course, feeling all that pain. Now, for you to do that, you have to be able to have enough support. I never recommend letting go of something or someone precious to you if you're doing it in isolation. It's just way too painful. So if you need support and family and friends aren't enough, you can try counseling. 12-step programs can be an option. A private therapy group can be an option. There might be meetups on the topic. Even Facebook groups on grief or letting go might help. Something where you're connecting to people who understand the experience and are going through the same thing. Now, the next thing is don't beat yourself up for going back and forth. I have never met someone that came into my office and said, Michelle, I'm going to let go of my spouse today, and then go home and did it. That doesn't happen, right? It sounds ridiculous. What they do is they come in and say, oh my God, Michelle, I have to let go of my partner and I can't do it. Help me. That's the process. realizing that maybe this person, place, or thing isn't working for you anymore, and you need to figure out how to start slowly letting go. So that back and forth, one day you might wake up and say, okay, I'm determined, I'm gonna do it. And then the next day you might wake up and say, this is way too hard, I'm not doing it. And you stay in a little bit longer. That's okay. That's actually part of the process. And a lot of times people get stuck here because they think they're doing it wrong, so they give up. Just like when you're in the heat of the emotion. When you're in all that grief, you think, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong. Why aren't the feelings ending? Well, they're not ending because you're not done yet. And it's really okay. And it's the same with beating yourself up for going back and forth. Please don't do that, because it's just part of the process, and it takes what it takes in order to let go. And the last thing I'm going to say is that it is absolutely your right to choose not to let go. So if family and friends are encouraging you to leave him, leave her, and you're not ready yet, that needs to be okay. And you need to have enough support so that your choice is respected. Because sometimes people are just not willing to let go. It's too painful for them, or they just don't have enough tools yet. And that shouldn't be judged. That's just part of the process. So to recap, I want you to do is hopefully this helps you understand the process. Start separating your energy from theirs to get back to center. Let yourself feel the grief, and if you need additional support, please find it. And watch the addictions, because you don't want to be eating, drinking, using things to escape, because again, that's just going to delay the pain. And don't beat yourself up for how it looks. You know, your grief, your letting go process might look different than mine. That's okay. So I really hope this has helped you. You can learn to let go one day at a time. So thanks so much. Bye.